Part 1. The Garden of the Mind. Have you ever wondered why two people can start from the same place in life, yet one climbs to success while the other struggles year after year? They may live in the same town, go to the same schools, and face the same challenges, but their outcomes are worlds apart. Why? I'll tell you a story. There was once a young man named Daniel. He grew up in a small American town where most people worked long hours in factories or farms. Daniel's father always told him, "Son, don't expect too much from life. People like us don't get rich. Just be happy if you can pay your bills." Daniel believed those words for a long time. He went to work, earned little, and never dreamed big because he thought life was already decided for him. But one day, while working a late shift, he overheard two older men talking. One of them said, "You know, everything we have in life begins as a thought. If you think poor, you'll live poor. If you think rich, sooner or later you'll find a way to become rich." That night Daniel could not sleep. He thought about those words again and again. Everything begins as a thought. The next morning, Daniel looked around and realized that his whole life was built on thoughts he never even chose for himself. His father's belief had become his own. His teacher's doubts had become his doubts. His friend's fears had become his fears. And here lies the first great truth. Your mind is the strongest tool you will ever own. It can build dreams, or it can destroy them. Think about this. The car you drive, the phone in your hand, even the house you live in, none of these things existed until someone first imagined them. The Wright brothers imagined flight long before the first airplane touched the sky. Henry Ford imagined a car for every family before America had highways. Every great achievement started as nothing more than a seed in the mind. But here's the other side. Failure also begins in the mind. Daniel remembered all the times he was sure something would go wrong, and it did. He remembered the rare moments he believed he could succeed, and how somehow things worked out in his favor. This was not luck. It was the mind shaping reality. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever seeds you plant will grow. Plant doubt, and you'll live with doubt. Plant confidence, and you'll live with confidence. Plant fear, and you'll see fear in every direction. Plant courage, and your life will bloom with opportunities. Daniel realized he had been planting the wrong seeds for years. He let others choose what grew in his garden. But that morning, he made a decision. From now on, I will be the gardener of my own mind. This is the first and most important lesson of mental training. Your thoughts create your reality. Let me make this even clearer. Your thoughts create your feelings. Your feelings shape your actions. Your actions produce your results. And your results create your life. Change the thought, change the feeling. Change the feeling, change the action. Change the action, change the result. Change the result, change the life. Daniel began practicing this truth in small ways. Instead of telling himself, "I can't afford this," he asked, "How can I afford this?" Instead of thinking, "This will never work," he thought, "What steps could make this work?" Slowly, his world shifted. Here is where most people fail. They let their minds wander like an untended garden. They allow weeds of fear, doubt, and negativity to choke out every seed of possibility. They think whatever thoughts show up, like passengers letting a stranger drive their car. But successful people? They take the wheel. They choose their thoughts carefully, guarding them like treasure. Napoleon Hill, the great teacher of success, once wrote, "What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." That's not just a pretty phrase, it's a law of life. When you believe something is possible, your mind begins to notice opportunities you once ignored. You meet people who can help you. You see chances where others only see obstacles. On the other hand, when you believe something is impossible, your mind works just as hard to prove you right. It shuts the door before you even try. Daniel finally saw the truth. He wasn't a victim of his circumstances. He wasn't doomed by his father's beliefs. He wasn't stuck in a life of limits. He was the creator of his world, just like you are the creator of yours. And let me tell you something important. Most of the limits in your mind are not even yours. They were planted there by others, parents, teachers, friends, society. They said, "That's not possible." They said, "Be realistic." They said, "People like us don't succeed." But here is the truth. Their limits are not your limits. Daniel decided to question every thought that held him back. Each time he caught himself thinking, "I can't do this," he asked, Is that really true? Or is it just something I learned to believe? And more often than not, the answer was, it was just a belief. A belief that could be unlearned. This is what I want you to remember. Anything learned can be unlearned. Anything believed can be changed. That's how powerful your mind is. So here is your challenge for today. Think of one belief that has been holding you back. Maybe it's, I'll never make enough money. Or, I'm not smart enough. Or, I always fail. Write it down. Then ask yourself, is this the truth, or is this just a belief I was taught? Chances are, it's just a weed in your mental garden. And weeds can be pulled out. Daniel's story doesn't end here. His decision to change his thoughts opened the door to a life he never dreamed possible. But before we go there, I want you to understand this first rule deeply. Your mind creates your reality. You are not the passenger, you are the driver. You are not the victim, you are the creator. The moment you accept this, your life begins to change. This is the first secret of mastering your mind. Backhand index pointing right. Would you like me to continue directly with part 2, about programming the subconscious mind, in the same story-driven, Napoleon Hill style? Or would you like to review and refine part 1 first before I move on? Part 2, the night Daniel discovered his secret weapon. Daniel sat on the edge of his bed one evening, staring at the ceiling. His day had been like every other. Long hours at work, little money in his pocket, and that heavy feeling that life was passing him by. He sighed and muttered under his breath, maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe success isn't for people like me. He didn't know it, but those quiet words were like commands to his deeper mind. Every time Daniel told himself, I can't, his subconscious accepted it as an order and worked faithfully to make it true. That night, though, something happened that changed his life. A friend had given him an old, worn-out book, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. He opened it at random and read, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. The words hit him like thunder. He sat upright. If that's true, Daniel whispered, then every time I tell myself I can't, I'm the one stopping me. But if I tell myself I can, could I actually change my life? He decided to test it. The power of repetition. Over the next few days, Daniel began noticing how often he repeated the same negative thoughts. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. Nothing good ever happens to me. He realized these weren't just passing thoughts, they were orders. And his subconscious mind, loyal and unquestioning, carried them out. But here's the secret, your deeper mind can also be programmed on purpose. Instead of feeding it poison, you can feed it power. Daniel began replacing his old statements with new ones. I'm getting better every day. I find solutions to every problem. Good things come to me. At first, it felt strange. He didn't believe the words. They felt like lies. But he remembered something Hill had written. Repetition of affirmation leads to belief. Once belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. So he kept going. The golden hour before sleep. One night, Daniel read about the best time to program the subconscious, right before sleep. That moment when you drift off, when the conscious mind lowers its guard, your deeper mind is wide open. Instead of lying in bed replaying his worries, Daniel tried something new. He closed his eyes and pictured himself in a better life. He saw himself walking confidently into a new office, shaking hands with people who respected him. He felt money in his wallet. He imagined laughter at his dinner table with friends who supported him. He didn't just see it, he felt it. The joy, the pride, the gratitude. For the first time in years, Daniel went to sleep smiling. Why pictures and feelings work? Your subconscious mind doesn't think in words, it thinks in pictures and feelings. That's why worry feels so real. You imagine disaster, your heart races, your body reacts as if it's already happening. Daniel realized he could use that same power in his favor. Instead of fearing the worst, he began imagining the best, vividly, emotionally, night after night. At first, nothing seemed different. But within weeks, small changes appeared. He felt calmer at work. He carried himself with more confidence. And one day, his manager noticed and offered him more responsibility. That was only the beginning. Acting as if, Daniel also learned another secret. Your subconscious listens to your actions. If you walk like a defeated man, it believes you're defeated. But if you walk like a winner, it begins to believe you're becoming one. So Daniel practiced acting. As if. He stood taller. He shook hands firmly. He made decisions like someone who expected success. His actions became new signals to his deeper mind. This is who I am now. Slowly but surely, his subconscious accepted the new identity, breaking the chains of limiting beliefs, but there was still something holding Daniel back. The old beliefs he had carried since childhood. He remembered his father's words. People like us don't get rich. He remembered his teacher saying, "You're not smart enough for that." For years, Daniel had lived inside these invisible walls. But now, he started asking questions. Is it really true that people like me don't succeed? Who decides what people like me even means? Aren't there people from small towns who built great lives? Why not me? He saw the truth. Most of his limiting beliefs weren't facts. They were opinions passed down by others. And he had mistaken them for laws. That's when he understood. The biggest prison you will ever live in is the one built from your own beliefs. Rewriting the script, Daniel began replacing each limiting belief with a new one. Instead of, "I'm not smart enough," he told himself, "I can learn anything I need to know." Instead of, "I don't have connections," he said, "I can build relationships with anyone." Instead of, "People like me don't succeed," he declared, "I am creating my own path to success." He didn't jump from total doubt to total certainty overnight. He eased into it with believable steps. Instead of, "I always succeed," he said, "I'm learning to succeed." And that was enough. His mind began searching for proof. The subconscious as a faithful servant. Daniel realized his subconscious wasn't against him, it was for him. It was like a faithful servant, waiting for clear orders. If he told it he was weak, it worked to keep him weak. If he told it he was strong, it worked to make him strong. Day after day, night after night, he repeated his affirmations, pictured his success, and acted as if it was already happening. And slowly, the old weeds of doubt were replaced with seeds of confidence. Your turn. Daniel's story is not unique. It's the same process anyone can follow, including you. Your subconscious doesn't care what you feed it, it will work to make it true. So feed it wisely. Give it visions of the life you want. Add strong emotion. Repeat it until it feels natural. And then act in line with it. Remember, repetition builds belief. Pictures and feelings make it real. Action seals the deal. The deeper mind is always listening. It never sleeps. It never stops working. Give it the right commands and it will astonish you with what it can do. This was the second secret Daniel discovered. You can program your subconscious mind to work for you instead of against you. And once he did, his world began to change faster than he imagined. But Daniel's journey wasn't over. In fact, a new challenge awaited him. The invisible chains of limiting beliefs that had ruled his life for years. And learning how to break those chains would become the next great turning point in his story. Backhand index pointing right. Would you like me to now continue straight into part 3, destroy limiting beliefs, in the same storytelling style? Or do you want to pause here and refine part 2 before moving forward? Part 3, the hidden power within you. Hook. Imagine standing in front of a massive oak tree. Its roots run deep, its trunk is solid, and its branches stretch toward the sky. That tree did not grow overnight. It grew because all its energy was focused on one thing: upward growth. Now, imagine if that tree tried to grow in every direction at once: east, west, north, south. It would never rise tall. It would stay small, scattered, and weak. Your mind is the same. If you spread your energy across too many directions, you remain ordinary. But if you focus it like sunlight through a magnifying glass, you set fire to your dreams. This is where greatness begins: focus, courage, and the way you talk to yourself. 1. The discipline of focus. Napoleon Hill once said that successful people reach decisions quickly and stick with them, while unsuccessful people change their minds often and rarely commit. Why? Because focus is power. Take the story of Thomas Edison. While others experimented with dozens of ideas at once, Edison focused relentlessly on one burning desire: the light bulb. He ignored distractions, he ignored critics, he even ignored good opportunities that could have pulled him away. Over 10,000 attempts failed, but he kept his focus until success was inevitable. Most people never achieve their dreams because they live distracted. They let the television, gossip, and social media steal the very minutes that could have built their future. They spread themselves thin, chasing small goals that don't matter, instead of pouring all their energy into the one big thing that could change their lives. Focus is a muscle. If you train it daily, it grows strong. Start small, 15 minutes of pure concentration on one task. When your mind wanders, gently pull it back. Just like lifting weights makes your arms strong, bringing your mind back makes your focus strong. Soon you will be able to focus for hours while others get lost in noise. Extraordinary achievement does not come from doing many things well. It comes from doing one thing with unstoppable focus. 2. Fear. The compass to growth. Here's a truth most people never learn. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is your guide. Every great achievement hides behind the wall of fear. Andrew Carnegie, the great steel magnate who inspired Napoleon Hill, admitted that he often felt fear before major business moves. But he learned to treat fear not as a warning to stop but as a signal that he was on the right track. Think about your own life. The things that scare you, starting that business, asking for that promotion, speaking in front of people, those are the very things that would transform your future. Your brain tells you fear means danger. But in the modern world, fear often means opportunity. Public speaking will not kill you. Starting a business will not destroy you. Asking someone for help will not end your life. Yet your brain reacts as if a tiger were chasing you. You must retrain it. The secret is action. Action comes first, courage comes second. You do not wait to feel brave before you step forward. You step forward, and then courage appears. Every day, do one small thing that scares you. Make that call. Share that idea. Try that new step. Each time you face fear, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than you thought. Slowly, fear loses its grip and becomes fuel. On the other side of fear lies everything you want. 3. The silent voice inside. There is another enemy that kills more dreams than fear or failure. It is the voice in your head, the internal dialogue. Most people talk to themselves more harshly than they would ever talk to a friend. I'm stupid. I always mess up. I'll never succeed. Words like these are not harmless. They are seeds, and whatever seeds you plant in your mind will grow. Napoleon Hill taught that your subconscious mind accepts any idea you feed it, good or bad, and works to make it reality. If you tell yourself you are weak, your mind will find proof of weakness. If you tell yourself you are capable, your mind will find proof of strength. Champions train their internal voice. They speak possibility into themselves. They say, I will figure this out. Instead of, I can't do this. They say, I am learning. Instead of, I always fail. Your internal dialogue programs your future. If you want confidence, speak it. If you want courage, affirm it. If you want success, remind yourself daily that you are capable and deserving. Imagine an athlete. Would a coach scream at them, You're terrible. You'll never win. Of course not. A good coach says, You've got this. Keep pushing. You're stronger than you think. You must become your own coach, not your own enemy. 4. Energy follows focus. Your life will always move in the direction of your most consistent focus. Focus on problems, and they multiply. Focus on strengths, and they expand. Focus on your goals, and they become real. When you choose one burning desire and feed it daily with focus, courage, and positive self-talk, the world seems to rearrange itself to help you. Opportunities show up. People appear. Resources you once lacked suddenly come into your path. This is not magic, it is the law of focus. Your mind begins to filter out distractions and highlight only what moves you forward. 5. The cost of distraction and fear. But beware, the world will tempt you with distractions. It will whisper, do everything at once. It will tell you that fear means stop. It will let your inner critic run wild. Most people obey these lies, and they live average lives. They achieve a little here and a little there, but nothing extraordinary. They spend their days busy but not productive, active but not advancing. The cost of distraction is your dream. The cost of fear is your destiny. The cost of negative self-talk is your self-belief. 6. The path forward. If you want to rise above average, master these 3 powers. 1. Focus. Pour your energy into one thing that matters most. Point 2. Fear. Treat it as a compass pointing to your growth. Point 3. Internal dialogue. Speak to yourself like a champion, not a critic. Do this. and you will experience a transformation few ever know. Remember, the oak tree does not grow by splitting its energy in every direction. It grows tall by choosing one path upward. You too must choose your path, face your fear, and speak victory into your life. That is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary success. Sparkles. End of part 3. Sparkles, would you like me to also add a short summary lesson at the end of each part, like Napoleon Hill's lesson learned style, so readers can quickly apply it to their life? Part 4. The Power of Persistence. Hook. Picture a gold miner digging in the mountains. He has been working for months, breaking rocks, sweating, and pouring his strength into the earth. Then, after hitting one more wall of stone, he gives up. Tired, discouraged, and convinced the gold is not there, he walks away. The next man who picks up the tools digs just 3 feet farther, and strikes the richest vein of gold ever discovered. This is not just a story. It really happened during the Colorado Gold Rush. And it's a perfect lesson. Most people quit just inches from success. Persistence is the invisible force that separates winners from quitters. It is the quality that takes ordinary people and turns them into legends. 1. Why people quit too soon. Napoleon Hill interviewed hundreds of successful men and women during his lifetime. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, and he found one truth again and again. The majority of people quit at the first sign of difficulty, while the successful ones persisted until success became unavoidable. Most people quit not because the dream is impossible but because they face resistance. Resistance is natural. It is the universe testing how badly you want something. Do you want it enough to keep pushing when the road gets rough? Think about it. A child learning to walk falls dozens, even hundreds of times. Yet he never says, "Walking isn't for me." He persists until walking becomes natural. If a baby can master persistence, so can you, too. The Edison example. Thomas Edison, who gave light to the world, failed over 10,000 times before inventing the electric bulb. When asked how he kept going after so many failures, Edison replied, "I did not fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that would not work." That is persistence, seeing failure not as defeat but as feedback. Edison understood a truth most people ignore. Every setback carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. When you change your perspective, failure stops being the end and becomes the stepping stone. 3. The habit of decision. Persistence is closely tied to decision. Napoleon Hill wrote that successful people make decisions quickly and firmly, and change them slowly, if ever. Unsuccessful people make decisions slowly and change them often. Henry Ford, for example, was mocked for his idea of the horseless carriage. Experts told him it would never work. Bankers refused to lend him money. Even his own friends thought he was crazy. But Ford had made his decision. He would build an automobile for the common man. That decision, backed by persistence, created an empire and changed the world. When you decide clearly and persist without giving up, you send a message to your subconscious mind. This will happen. Your brain then goes to work, day and night, searching for ways to make it real. 4. The enemy called temporary defeat. There is a difference between failure and temporary defeat. Failure is permanent only if you quit. Temporary defeat is a teacher that points out a better way. Napoleon Hill tells the story of his own son, born without ears. Doctors told him the boy would never hear or speak. Hill refused to accept it. He decided that his son would hear and speak one day. He persisted with that belief. Years later, through the use of a special hearing device and sheer determination, the boy learned to hear and speak, and eventually made a career out of helping others with hearing difficulties. Persistence turned what looked like a tragedy into triumph. 5. How to build persistence. Persistence is not a talent, it is a habit. Like a muscle, it grows stronger each time you use it. Here are 4 ways to build persistence into your life. 1. A definite purpose. You must know exactly what you want. Vague goals create weak persistence. Clear goals create strong persistence. Point 2. A burning desire. If your dream doesn't excite you, you will quit when it gets hard. But if it sets your soul on fire, no obstacle can stop you. Point 3. Self-belief. You must believe that you are capable. Doubt kills persistence faster than failure ever could. Point 4. A strong mindset. Surround yourself with people who encourage you, not those who feed your fears. Persistence thrives in positive soil. Remember, persistence is not stubbornness. It is not banging your head against the same wall forever. It is the ability to adapt, to try again, to move forward until success is won. 6. Stories of persistence in everyday life. Persistence is not just for inventors and business titans, it is for ordinary people too. The single mother who works 2 jobs and studies at night until she earns her degree. The athlete who trains daily, even when tired, until they stand on the winner's podium. The writer who receives dozens of rejection letters before one publisher finally says yes. Everyday persistence builds extraordinary results. 7. The cost of quitting. Quitting may bring temporary relief, but it always brings long-term regret. Think of the miner who walked away 3 feet from gold. Think of the entrepreneur who closed shop just before the breakthrough. Think of the student who dropped out just before finishing. The price of quitting is the life you could have lived. And regret is a heavy burden to carry. 8. The path forward. If you truly want success, you must plant persistence in your heart. Decide what you want. Focus on it daily. Face fear with courage. Speak to yourself like a champion. And when obstacles come, and they will, remember, they are only temporary defeats, not final failures. Every great person in history was an ordinary individual who refused to quit. They were not always smarter, richer, or luckier. They were simply more persistent. Lesson of Part 4. Success comes to those who refuse to quit. Make a clear decision about what you want, and persist until you win. When obstacles appear, see them as temporary defeats, not failures. Remember the miner who quit 3 feet from gold. Don't let that be your story. Persist, and the gold of your dreams will be yours. Sparkles. End of Part 4. Sparkles, would you like me to continue Part 5 on the theme of imagination and creativity, another of Napoleon Hill's core principles, or would you prefer I focus it more on faith and belief in yourself? Part 5. The Workshop of Imagination. Hook. Every invention you see around you, your phone, the car you drive, the chair you sit in, even the cup of coffee in your hand, was once invisible. It lived only in someone's mind. At first, it was just an idea, a picture that no one else could see. Yet through imagination, that idea became real. This is the hidden truth. Your imagination is the workshop where your future is built. 1. The 2 types of imagination. Napoleon Hill explained that there are 2 kinds of imagination. 1. Synthetic imagination, when you take old ideas and combine them into something new. 2. Creative imagination, when you receive flashes of inspiration, often called intuition, from your subconscious or even something higher. Both are powerful. Henry Ford didn't invent the automobile. He simply combined existing ideas into a system that allowed him to mass-produce cars for everyday people. That was synthetic imagination. On the other hand, Alexander Graham Bell's vision of carrying a human voice across wires came in a flash of creative imagination. The lesson? You don't need to wait for lightning bolts of genius. You can start with what you already know and rearrange it until something new is born. 2. The story of the Wright brothers. At the start of the 20th century, most experts believed human flight was impossible. Scientists said man was too heavy, the air too thin, and the mechanics too complicated. Yet 2 brothers from Dayton, Ohio, Orville and Wilbur Wright, imagined otherwise. They ran a bicycle shop. They were not rich. They were not scientists. But they had imagination, while others said, impossible. The Wright brothers pictured a machine that could lift off the ground and stay in the air. They studied birds, experimented with gliders, failed repeatedly, and persisted. Their imagination gave them the courage to keep going. In December 1903, on the sands of Kitty Hawk, their imagination took flight and changed human history forever. 3. Why most people kill their imagination as children. Imagination is natural. We dream of becoming astronauts, explorers, heroes. But as we grow, society often kills this gift. Teachers say, be realistic. Friends laugh at big ideas. Parents warn, don't give your hopes up. Soon, imagination is locked away. Adults trade bold dreams for safe routines. They settle. But here is Napoleon Hill's truth. Nothing great has ever been achieved by people who played small. The people who changed the world dared to imagine something different, and then acted on it. 4. The businessman who dreamed big. Hill tells the story of Edwin C. Barnes, a man who had nothing, no money, no education, not even connections. But he had a burning desire to work with Thomas Edison. Barnes imagined himself standing next to Edison as a partner. That picture in his mind was so strong it felt real. He had no train fare, so he rode a freight train to Edison's office. When he arrived, he looked poor, dirty, and tired. But Edison saw determination in his eyes and gave him a small job. Barnes worked like a man possessed. Years later, when Edison created a new invention, he needed a salesman. Barnes seized the chance. He sold the invention so well that he eventually became Edison's business partner. What created this success? Imagination. Barnes pictured himself as Edison's associate long before the world saw it. 5. Turning imagination into reality. Imagination without action is just daydreaming. To turn imagination into power, Napoleon Hill taught a simple process. 1. Picture your goal clearly. Close your eyes and see it as if it already exists. 2. Add emotion. Feel the joy, pride, or freedom of having it. Emotion makes the image stick. 3. Write it down. A dream on paper becomes a plan. 4. Act on it daily. Even small steps bring your imagination closer to reality. This is the exact process athletes use when they visualize winning games, and business leaders use when they picture success before it happens. 6. When imagination meets faith. Imagination alone is not enough. You must combine it with faith, the belief that your dream can and will come true. Without faith, imagination fades. With faith, imagination becomes unstoppable. Consider Walt Disney. When he shared his idea of Disneyland, bankers laughed. They told him it was impossible, a waste of money. But Disney saw the park in his mind with such clarity that he refused to quit. Today, Disneyland is one of the most visited places in the world. Disney used the same principle Napoleon Hill taught. See it in your mind, believe it, and act until it becomes real. 7. Exercises to grow your imagination. If you want to sharpen your imagination, practice daily. Here are a few exercises. Vision building. Spend 10 minutes every morning picturing your life as you want it, not as it is. Idea journaling. Write down at least 5 new ideas every day, no matter how small. Quantity breeds quality. What if game? Ask. What if? About ordinary things. What if this problem had a simple solution? What if I could improve this by 10 times? Mastermind groups. Surround yourself with creative thinkers. One idea sparks another, and soon you have more possibilities than you imagined. The more you practice, the stronger your imagination muscle grows. 8. Imagination in your life. You don't need to invent airplanes or build theme parks to use imagination. You can use it to imagine a healthier, stronger body, and create the habits to build it. Imagine a deeper, happier relationship, and act to make it real. Imagine financial freedom, and start building the skills and opportunities to achieve it. Imagination is not reserved for geniuses. It is the birthright of every person who dares to use it. Lesson of Part 5. Your imagination is the workshop of your mind. Everything begins there. See your dreams clearly, believe in them fiercely, and take action daily. As Napoleon Hill said, "What the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Sparkles. End of Part 5. Sparkles, would you like me to make Part 6, final chapter, about mastering your mind completely, tying together imagination, persistence, focus, fear, and inner dialogue into one? Rule your life. Conclusion? Part 6. Rule your mind, rule your life. Hook. There is a story about a man who found himself locked in a refrigerated train car. Convinced he would freeze to death, he scratched his final words on the wall. When workers found him the next morning, he was dead. But here is the shocking part. The refrigeration system had been broken all night. The temperature never dropped below 60 degrees. He didn't die from the cold. He died from his belief. This is the ultimate proof of Napoleon Hill's greatest lesson. Your mind is the master power. It can create life or destroy it. It can lift you to success or bury you in failure. 1. The final key, self-mastery. Throughout this journey, we've learned, your thoughts create your reality. Your subconscious mind follows orders. Beliefs either build or break you. Focus turns small energy into massive results. Fear can be fuel if you face it. Imagination is the workshop of achievement. Now, the final step is self-mastery, the ability to take control of your mind every day and direct it like a captain steering a ship. Without self-mastery, you drift. With it, you dominate life. 2. The story of Andrew Carnegie's secret. Napoleon Hill was sent by Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in American history, to discover the philosophy of success. Carnegie told Hill, "Any man can achieve wealth, power, and happiness if he learns to control his mind. Teach people how to do this, and you will give them the greatest gift of all." Hill spent 25 years studying 500 of the most successful people in the world: Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Theodore Roosevelt, Alexander Graham Bell. All different backgrounds, but all had one thing in common: they ruled their minds instead of being ruled by them. 3. The power of a definite purpose. Every great achiever had a clear, burning purpose. They knew exactly what they wanted. No guessing. No. Maybe. Henry Ford wanted to put America on wheels. Thomas Edison wanted to light the world. Mother Teresa wanted to serve the poor. Your mind cannot create powerfully without a definite aim. It is like sunlight: scattered it warms, focused it burns. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Not what others expect, not what society tells me, but what my heart demands. Write it. Own it. That is your starting point for mastery. 4. The enemy within. Drifting. Napoleon Hill warned of a dangerous force he called drifting, living without direction, letting outside forces control your thoughts. Drifters complain about circumstances, blame others, chase distractions. They never master themselves, so they never master life. But the opposite of drifting is discipline. The disciplined person says, "This is my goal. This is my plan. I will not stop until it is real." Mastery is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. When your mind drifts, you pull it back. When fear whispers, you speak louder. When doubt knocks, you shut the door. 5. Turning failure into power. Every successful person faced failure, sometimes massive failure. Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Ford's first 2 companies went bankrupt. Abraham Lincoln lost more elections than he won before becoming president. The difference was how they used their minds. Where others saw failure as proof of defeat, they saw it as education. They told themselves, "This is not the end. This is the lesson." Self-mastery does not remove failure. It transforms it into fuel. 6. Building your mental army. Hill taught that you must build a mental army to protect your thoughts. Affirmations. Speak your success daily. Your subconscious is always listening. Visualization. Picture your future clearly until it feels real. Environment. Surround yourself with people, books, and habits that support your dreams. Mastermind group. Find allies who sharpen your ideas and hold you accountable. No general wins a war alone. Your mind wins with the right army beside it. 7. The man who refused to quit. Let me tell you about R.U. Darby, a man Napoleon Hill studied. Darby joined the gold rush. He bought land and equipment, started digging, and after weeks of hard labor, struck a vein of gold. Excited, he dug deeper, but then the vein disappeared. He tried again. Nothing. Discouraged, he sold his equipment to a junk dealer for pennies. That junk dealer brought in a mining expert, who discovered that Darby had stopped digging just 3 feet from one of the richest gold veins ever found. Darby learned a hard truth: success often lies just beyond the point where you feel like quitting. He took that lesson and became one of the most successful insurance salesmen in America. The difference was mindset. He learned never to quit 3 feet from gold. 8. The crown of self-mastery. When you rule your mind, life bends to your will. Fear becomes courage. Failure becomes education. Distraction becomes focus. Doubt becomes belief. Imagination becomes reality. Self-mastery is not about controlling the world. It is about controlling yourself. The world may throw storms at you, but you are the captain. You hold the wheel. Hill summed it up with one immortal line: "You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul." Call to action now. The decision is yours. Will you drift through life, letting fear, doubt, and distractions control you? Or will you take the wheel, master your mind, and create the life you were born to live? The power is already inside you. Begin today. Start small. Speak one positive word to yourself. Picture one clear goal. Take one brave action. Then repeat tomorrow. And the next day. Because mastery is not built in a day. It is built daily. If this message has stirred something in you, if you feel ready to step into the driver's seat of your life, then do not keep it to yourself. Share it. Tell others. Discuss it. The more minds we awaken, the more lives we change. Backhand index pointing right. So here's my challenge to you. If this inspired you, hit subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment with one goal you are ready to master, so we can hold each other accountable. Your mind is the strongest tool you will ever own. Master it, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop you. Sparkles. End of part 6. Final chapter. Sparkles.